Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Talking Bollocks with me, Howard Smith, your host. How did I forget the H? I really don't know. Yes, hello, it is me, your host, Howard H. Smith. I do this, I do that, you're listening, let's move on. I cannot be asked to do... I can't do it, I've got to do it, haven't I? I've got to do it. So, my name is Howard H. Smith. I am singer with Leeds. With Leeds? I'm the lead singer with Acid Rain. You can find us at acidrain.co.uk, at Acid Rain UKAC on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find my comedy character, keithplatt.co.uk, because I do stand-up as well. You're sick of hearing this. If you're a regular, I apologise. If this is the first time you've listened, ooh, aren't I a busy boy? And also, I'm doing this podcast that you're listening to now in your ears. In your ears. And I just want to say, please subscribe, find us wherever we are. If you go on YouTube, if you watch this on YouTube, if you listen to this on YouTube, I might even make a few pence out of it, which would be nice because I'm still unemployed. Hey! Hello, yes. I am still unemployed. I am still inverted commas resting. I'm quite enjoying it. Although I've got to admit, I am starting to get itchy feet now. I want to be out. I want to be doing stuff. Got a few balls in the air at the moment, and we'll see what comes of it. But anybody listening to this, if you need a loudmouth, humorous twat for anything, hit me up. You can find me on Twitter at Talking Bollocks, or you can just go on Facebook, message the page, whatever. And yeah, if you need a loudmouth, humorous twat for any reason, then just hit me up and tell me what you're willing to pay me, because I will work for food. So anyway. It's lovely for you to be here. It's lovely for me to be here. I can't believe I've been doing this as long as I have. This is, over 3 years, a load of episodes. It's, I don't even know how many episodes. I don't know. I don't really keep count, obviously. So I didn't think I'd be starting, another podcast with another suicide of another singer. Don't get your hopes up. Not thinking about it myself. But yeah, Chester Bennington, wow. Now, I really didn't realise how many Linkin Park fans were out there, and I didn't realise how many of my friends were Linkin Park fans until Chester died. And then people who failed to mention that they owned Hybrid Theory, failed to mention that they were fans of Linkin Park until now. But that's an aside. It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. 6 kids. Oh, I don't know. All I can say is, look, I've been completely honest with you guys before. I've had my issues with depression, and when I sat down and spoke to Howard Jones, we ended up talking about nothing but. And all I can say is, it's tough. It really is tough. And unless you've suffered from it, I know people would say, "Oh, 6 kids, oh, selfish." Blah. It's like, unless you've suffered from depression, unless you've suffered from it, unless you have really been at a point where ending your life is an option that you genuinely throw into the mix on a routine basis, unless you've been, I can't even call it that low. It's not low. It's beyond low. Unless you've ever suffered from that, you cannot understand. Don't judge people by their actions. And by that I mean, don't judge people who've committed suicide as being selfish or anything like that. I don't know. Look, you do what you want. I'm just saying that unless you've walked in those shoes, then you've got no idea how bleak things can be. And that's the exact word, bleak. Just count yourself lucky. If you've got no way of comprehending it, if you've got no way of understanding, then count yourself lucky, because you've obviously never been in that situation or had that experience, and believe me, you wouldn't want to. So, what else has been happening? Nickelback and Corey Taylor continue to bite chunks out of each other, which is quite amusing. And I liked the quote, Nickelback is to rock what KFC is to chicken. which I thought actually ended up being a bit of a backhanded compliment from Corey Taylor. To be honest, I do like McKay. But yeah, that's all just kind of got out of hand. And then around the same time, I saw a brilliant quote from Jacoby Shaddix, or Jacoby Shaddix, however he's pronouncing his name, and this is brilliant, right? This is his explanation for why his band got lumped into new metal and all that. Papa Roach got lumped into in the late 90s, got such a bad rap from fans and critics alike. Shaddix says a lot of people didn't like Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst, really and truly. That was real bad, and everybody was, do you want to hate me? And so he was kind of the poster boy for the genre. So if people wanted to take pot shots at it, it was easy. Right, so basically what he was claiming, and this is, he's basically claiming that they got slated because everybody hated Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit. Now, I mean, if you want to live on that delusion, if you want to pretend that people are slagging your band off and your songs off because of another band in the genre, that's a certain level of self-delusion, which I find quite impressive, to be honest. I mean, even Dave Mustaine, who, yes, Dave again, but even Dave Mustaine didn't come out with oh yeah, everybody's hating on Super Collider, but that's because Reload was shit by Metallica. That's because that's because nobody likes Gene Simmons. I mean, it's the fucking lamest excuse ever. It really is. I mean, how the fuck you have that journey in your head is absolutely beyond me. But anyway, look, I mentioned him then. That was unplanned. But Mustaine, bless, right? Mustaine says he's sure that he is going to end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, Dave. Well, I'm sure you're not. Because basically, as I've said before, Megadeth, good band, but it's not going to get you in the Hall of Fame. It's really, I don't know. Right, I've got a quote from him. It says, here we go. As crazy as I am, I was thinking about the Grammy the other day and how it was given to Megadeth, he said. I was thinking it would surely be a lot better if it was given to Dave Mustaine and not to Megadeth. I guess you've got to keep the fire burning. I mean, Dave really does offer some. I mean, he also decided to rank all of the guitarists that have been in Megadeth in order and put that on social media. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave, for answering a question nobody answered. I mean, it's just disrespectful, isn't it? It's just disrespectful to most of the guitarists on the list. And did it really need to be done? I just think, somebody needs to take Dave's phone out of his hand, because if you let him, he just starts tweeting and talking shit. And as for that, it would have been better if the Grammy had been given to Dave Mustaine and not Megadeth. I mean, oh, brilliant. You've managed to disrespect all the guitarists you've ever played with the other day. Oh, now you're just disrespecting everybody that you've ever played with. You're disrespecting everybody that you're in the band with now. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this guy's a Christian, apparently. I genuinely don't understand what goes on in that guy's fucking head. I really don't. Anyway, moving on. Steve Grimmett, footage of Steve Grimmett on stage, very, very moving. He's got a prosthetic leg. It's just incredible. I mean, every time. I mean, I welled up when I saw the footage. It was absolutely superb. It really was. And yeah, please do all check it out. It's just great to see him up and about. Carl Volterbach from Noise Records has got back to me and said he's got a very, very busy period at the moment. So hopefully I am still on to interview Carl later in the year. Excuse me, just having a drink. So yeah, I'm hopefully going to be interviewing him later in the year, and I do hope that happens because it's going to be fascinating. And now on to two things that that really are the biggest news in the world of metal ever, and that is the return of former Saxon drummer Thunderstick. Yep, that's right. If you, like everybody else, had not been wondering what had happened to Thunderstick, well, let me fill you in. Yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back with a band, complete with dodgy kendo mask. I mean, this shit writes itself. It really does. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that Thunderstick is making a comeback. But hey, look, why should I? You know, I'm preempting it's going to be rubbish, so I may end up with egg on my face, but for somehow I don't think so. Almost as exciting as a new Living Colour album coming out later in the year. It is a new Darkness album. Yeah. A new fucking pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic. Didn't even know they were still going. A new The Darkness album. Again, it's the answer to a question nobody asked. Oh, I wonder what The Darkness are up to. Who gives a fuck? Hopefully they've all split up and they've opened individual sex shops, or they've decided to become painters and decorators. Whatever it is, I hope it's keeping them away from musical instruments and away from rehearsal rooms. Please, for fuck's sake. Seriously. I cannot believe that band still has a career, but it does, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there going, can't believe you've still got a career. Well, I haven't actually, so I'm unemployed at the moment, so fuck you for bringing it up. Hey? That's really bad. That is kicking a man when he's down. I'm unemployed. It's all about me. Yeah, fucking hell. Leave me alone. As I'm recording this, we're 2 days from the release of a new Prong album, so I'm very, very excited about that. But, what can I say? Nothing. It's out in 2 days. I haven't got an advance copy because I'm not important enough. I'll find out along with the rest of you what it's like, but I am well up for that. I watched a documentary on the Riff on the BBC, and I was thinking, this is really it's really heavy metal light. It's really not. And then there was this section where it went, and it showed like bits of hair metal and saying like, riffs weren't all that serious. And I was thinking, right, okay, yeah, but there's thrash. Thrash is built on riffs. Come on. And then they said, but that all changed in 1991. And I was thinking, 91? The Black Album was 90. I'm thinking, the riff that took over from Smoke on the Water in guitar shops across the world. I thought, right, oh no, completely bypassed thrash metal. No, the riff they were talking about was Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, that's right. Completely and utterly a program on the riff. Completely and utterly ignored thrash and its impact in the late 80s, early 90s. No, just nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. I could not believe it. I mean, oh God. They said, so basically what they said was Nirvana, I remember this, in 1991, Nirvana saved the riff. They saved the riff. Really? I just lost for words. Lost for fucking words. Now, something that is rather sad is what's happened to Adrenaline Mob. Obviously, AJ Pero was playing drums for them, and he was found dead in his bunk. And they've just suffered a horrendous bus crash. The bass player died. Their tour manager has got 70% burns across her body. I mean, it's it's absolutely horrendous, and there just doesn't seem to be getting much coverage. I mean, that is understandable to a certain extent with what's happened with Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell recently. But Adrenaline Mob, as much as I'm not a fan, nobody deserves that. It's absolutely terrible. Now, I think there is a GoFundMe page to help the band. And if I was a decent human being, I would have looked it up, but I don't. So I will look that up and try and give you the info, or I will try and look that up and find it and give you the information, and just help a band out. I mean, that it's heartbreaking what has happened to that band. It really is. And like I said, there just seems to be very little coverage. They just seem to have kind of got lost a little bit the way that Mother Teresa's death got a little bit sort of forgotten about because it was around the same time as Princess Diana. So I don't know how I've managed to make that fucking leap. So that basically makes Adrenaline Mob Mother Teresa, and that makes Chester Bennington Princess Diana. So nice one, Howard, you knob. That just doesn't fucking work at all. And what else has been going on? Zentrix are back. That's right. My buddies, Zentrix are back. I mean, I knew what had happened way back. I'm not going to go into it because it's not my business. But yeah. Anyway, I knew at the time that, and they did as well, that it was going to be their last gig with Chris on our tour in 2015, and they've just been trying to find somebody to replace him ever since. So yeah, we haven't been, I obviously haven't said anything. I've had plenty of questions on the Acid Rain page. Hello, Acid Rain page, about what Zentrix are doing. Well, if they're not publicising it, what makes you think we're going to? Fucking knobs. But there you go. Oh, and look, I might have said this before, and I just wanted to get it off my chest. I am grateful for every single fan of anything I do. Don't think I'm not. I really am. I'm massively grateful. But, that doesn't mean that I want to be a Facebook friend with you. Just the volume of friend requests that I get from people who I've got no fucking idea who they are. It's called friends. Yeah, I mean, I know. Maybe I've completely lost what Facebook's all about. But excuse me, it's for friends. If you want to, I'm on Twitter. You can get me through the Acid Rain page and all the rest of it. What the fuck? Why do you need to be friends with me on Facebook? I don't fucking know who you are. I mean, if you like them, like the music of it, that's wonderful. But that doesn't mean we're friends, does it? It just simply doesn't. I'm a big fan of tons of music. I'm not friending everybody in the bands on Facebook all the time just because I like their music. What the fuck? And there is an option there to just follow me. So fucking follow. I'm probably coming across like a real fucking egotistical arsehole right now. But it just always bugs me. And I mean, as I'm sure it would any of you listening to this, when you get friends requests on Facebook from people you don't know, you just think, what? Fuck off, you weirdo. I don't know. Oh, we've got 10 friends in common. Yes, we've got them in common, but I don't fucking know you. I don't know who you are. You might be an absolute dick-steaming knob. I don't want anything to do with you. Go and fucking friend Keith Platt. He doesn't give a fucking shit. He'll allow anybody. But me, I'm a little bit choosy. I need to have actually fucking met you. And I'm sure, people listening to this, I'm sure you're going to be thinking, yeah, I'm exactly the same. Just because you've got friends in common, that's no other reason. That's like, if you invite people to a party, if you're having a party, you invite your friends. You don't invite your friends and go, oh yeah, and just fucking bring anyone you know as well. Yeah, fuck it, why not? Why? Because your fucking house gets trashed, that's why. Now, the equivalent is you get loads of people on Facebook, and all of a sudden you go on your Facebook timeline one day, and there's just loads of either far-right bullshit or constant pictures of fucking children. Here's a rule. If there is a picture, if your profile picture is not of you, or if it's of you with somebody else, I'm definitely not fucking allowing you to be friends. Cannot fucking stand it when people are in a couple and they have to have the two of them and their happiness grinning out at you from their fucking profile page. I know somebody who doesn't even have the couple use the same Facebook page themselves, so you never know who's commenting on stuff you've put up, and you never know who's liking it. It might be her, it might be him. I don't fucking know, and I just fucking hate that fucking. You know, the couple, they've got their cheeks next to each other, rubbing cheeks next to each other. Oh, look at us, we're so perfect, we're so happy. Look at us with our fucking perfect, beautiful, happy lives. Oh, we're so fucking perfect, we are. Oh, look, here's a picture of a fucking picnic we went on, and it was beautiful. This is us kissing, this is us at the beach, this is us going shopping, this is us having a shit, this is us making dinner, and then they have a kid. Oh, fuck me, it's game over. They've had a fucking child. You are getting bombarded. Oh, little Georgie fell over this morning. Did he? Down a well? No? Well, I'm not interested then. Oh, look, little Georgie. Oh, I'm so proud of my boy. He's managed to have a shit. Honestly. Oh, I'm so... Parents on Facebook saying, "Oh, I'm so proud of my child. He's 12 today. I'm so proud. Really, well done. Well, congratulations on not dying. Congratulations on making it to 12 without being arrested or thrown. I mean, what the fuck?" And this whole idea of parents are your mates. My kids are my mates. Well, you'll get a surprise, won't you, when in their later teen years they're brought home in a police van. Why? Because you decided to be their mate, not their parent. You decided, because you made that choice, because you made that decision, you altered the relationship between the two of you. So there's now a lack of respect. You can't be their mate one minute and discipline them the next. It's like being a manager in an office. It's like you've got to maintain a healthy distance. If you are going to be in charge of somebody, which you fucking are if you're a parent, you need to remain in charge. You need to have that professional distance or that personal distance. Raising a child is no different to raising a fucking dog, right? You give it boundaries. You let it know what's right, what's wrong. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with shit all over your house and everything chewed up and spat on. I don't know where... Yeah, I do know where some of that came from. I know where all that fucking came from, actually. But I'm not sharing that, that's for sure. That's just a little too personal. I've already let you all in on way more than you care to know about me. So, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? That was all just heavy metal news and up and down, and then all of a sudden, I've nearly had an aneurysm on you. Okay. All right, so let's get into the first interview. This is a very cool interview, came about very quickly, and I was over the moon to get it. I did it yesterday. In fact, I did it about 24 hours exactly ago, so you're getting this fresh off the press. And this is me and Phil Rind at the Camden Underworld having a chat yesterday afternoon. Okay, right, well, here I am. I'm in the Underworld with the legendary Phil Rind of Sacred Reich. Now, you might hear some clattering while we're talking. That's purely Phil is setting up the merch for tonight, which we've both already established is just about the most important part of any gig.
Well, the thing is, too, is we're doing a deal which is...
you make everybody a VIP.
Everyone's a VIP deal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, say, tongue-in-cheek, sly dig at all of these bands charging a lot of money for VIPs, or is it just purely...
I don't know if it's a dig, because people are entitled to do whatever the fuck they want.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And my deal is like... I don't feel right. What people do is their business. I know it's tough as a band.
Yeah.
To do it and make money, and if you have mouths to feed, and like if you're getting by and you get 10 VIPs, you pay $100. It's $1,000. You do 20 shows, it's $20,000. It's a difference between maybe coming home with money and not coming home with money.
Yeah.
So I get it. I don't begrudge people for doing it. That's their business.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I don't like the idea of paying for access.
Yeah.
Because, like, politically, this is what's gotten us in trouble, right?
Yeah.
That people pay for access to lawmakers and in turn get the laws that are, beneficial to them.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it's for us. It's not something I'm interested in doing. But
well, the thing is, as well, is that you'll be very much like ourselves, which is you're gonna, yes, you're going to be in the dressing room for a certain part of the evening, but you're also going to be milling around the venue anyway. Because the dressing room area is the kind of places we play. You're going to be quite small. You're rammed in, and you're going to want to go have a little mingle and stuff like that. You can't do that if you just played a load of people. If you just charged a load of people, do you know what I mean?
Well,
it's like
I think people who charge a bunch of people aren't hanging out in the club.
But that's what I mean by at this level. It's kind of like, well,
Last tour, I've never sold merch before. Last tour, I began. Oh shit! Last tour, I started selling merchandise.
Yeah.
And it was cool because, in one hand, it's a bit of work, obviously, but. It was nice because if you're used to sitting in the back, like you said, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
So it got me out, got me doing stuff. We got to hang out with the people and say hey to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, me and Jason are already out here.
Yeah.
Let's get the other two guys out here. We can sign stuff. We can take pictures. We can hang out with the people. We're celebrating 30 years of our first record, and the only reason why we're able to do it is because the people come.
Yeah.
And we should say thank you.
Yeah.
So that's what, and I don't want to talk shit about other bands that want to do it. That's their business. Yeah. Except like bands like Metallica and other bands like that, which I don't understand because they don't need the money. But the other side is, I don't know, are they donating that money to charity? They could be. True. And we might not know because I don't think they're going to go out of their way to tell. They're not sitting around bragging about what they're doing. But that kind of deal, I go,
I'll tell you a story off air about a certain somebody within our industry who does incredible charity stuff, which no one knows about, and he purposely says to management, you cannot publicise this.
Right.
Well, totally under the radar.
Prince did all that, right? They said Prince paid for solar panels all over Oakland on people's houses and didn't say anything because he was like Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
And they can't talk about it.
Right, okay.
He did tons and tons and tons of charity. So
cool, man.
I think we're going to need some, this. See that?
Right, that's the sound of the merch framework going up, folks. I know you've been real steadfast in...
we're doing a podcast, by the way.
Just so,
we're doing a podcast, just so you know. You don't have to be quiet. I mean...
No, join in any time you like, man.
I'm stoned. I got nothing to say.
Brilliant.
I just sound stupid.
Well, that's better than not being so.
It's very honest.
But you've been real steadfast in not making new material, which as we spoke before we started this, I'm kind of have to because it's essentially a new band,
right?
And so I had to put new material out straight away to prove that these guys were
legit.
Exactly.
Yes.
And of course, but there's also that. You know what? There's that feeling that that whatever we bring out that's new, it's never going to have the pull of the old stuff,
right?
Because your old stuff is what people's memories are tied to.
Of course,
isn't it?
Yes. Let's slide it off hand. The thing is, just do this. Gotcha. That's the stuff that people remember when it made an impact on them when they were 16, 17, 18 years old. And it's like getting in a time machine.
Yeah, and that's what they want. They want to. I mean, that's why people come up to you and say, "Oh, thanks for making me feel like a teenager again."
And the thing is, I remember going to see it was Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath with Dio, right?
Yeah.
And they opened up with Dehumanizer, and I was like, "What? I don't even know the song." I want to hear Neon Nights. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. There's other bands that have been, from the same era that have been making records the whole time and they're still putting out new material. And whether or not it stands up to old material is other people's business and the fans' business. Now, we've been talking about doing new stuff, and maybe we will.
Well,
and if we have new stuff that we like, we'll do it. There was a big thing of here's the hardware, but I think we need some screwdrivers and stuff. Skid or Matt or Michael may have something.
I brought a multi-tool. I'm just trying to think where it is.
But the thing is like, I remember, because I think about stuff too much, thinking, what do we sound like now?
Yeah.
What do we sound like? Do we sound like Black Sabbath now? Do we sound like Ignorance? Do we sound like our last record, Heal? What does it sound like?
Yeah.
And I remember giving a lot of thought. And I have a friend who's a movie director guy. And he said, you know what? Don't think about it. Just do it and put it out. And don't worry about it. He goes, no one cares. Because I was driving to my my movie premiere. And I'm driving by restaurants and people are eating dinner and people are doing laundry and people are going to the grocery store. But I'm going to my premiere. It's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
He goes, but no one cares. You do your thing, put it out, and go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, perfect.
Well, also, the thing is as I was reminded when we brought a first single out in 2015, it is that the minute it's released, it's not yours anyway.
Right.
You know, so it's like you can think you've done the best thing ever, and it'll come out and people will hate it. Or you can think it's a piece of shit and it'll come out and people will love it.
Well, the weird thing is, like, we've never released a record when the internet was happening. So we'll know what people think. But it'll be interesting, too, because I don't mind the feedback. Like, Borovoy at Blabbermouth, he posted something, and it was like, I did a podcast with Danko Jones, and it was like, Sacred Reich, not opposed to doing new music.
Yeah.
So some people's comments were, and I'm not opposed to buying some new music, which is awesome. And then there was man, everyone's fat, you know, those comments.
Yeah, right, those comments.
But like that's 2017, and like, I'm fat. What are you saying? Like, I can't argue with people, and
I'm skinnier.
Jason's lost weight, but like, I don't give two shits. I never did.
Yeah.
Like, you make a record, you want people to like it, but whether they do like it or whether they don't like it doesn't change how you feel about the stuff that you put out in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do what you do for you, and people are like, you haven't put out new music, there's an audience. I go, how do you know there's an audience? You don't know. Yeah. I go, and guess what? When we made our first record, no one knew who the fuck we were. Yeah. And it didn't matter to us then. We had to do it. That's why you should put out a record.
Yeah, because you have to.
Because you have songs and you want to put it out. Yeah. And people are like, make the thrash record. I'm like, you're going to be disappointed. Yeah. It is not going to sound like that. But what I'm saying is, we haven't made that record since Ignorance.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah, no, not at all. No.
So if people are thinking that's going to happen, they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not our problem.
No, absolutely.
Other people's expectations are their deal.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the internet, isn't it? You know,
well, that's just life, right?
Yeah.
People, this is our deal, right? We have an idea of how the way the world should be, and when it doesn't match what we think it should be, we get upset. So if people go, a new Sacred Reich record, and they go into it thinking whatever it is that they're thinking it's going to sound like, and it doesn't sound like that, they're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Well, like you said about those comments, where you get those comments from people where they're saying like, oh, you know, there's a market out there, and you should do this, and you should do that. And it's like, dude, why don't you just get to the point? You want us to put a new album out because you want new Sacred Reich. Don't try and convince us about all these fucking great reasons for doing it.
And you're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like, you don't know. Like people are like, there's a market. Like you and your friends and fans' opinion is skewed. Because they like the band. Of course they're going to think that. Yeah. You meet people and they think you're much bigger than your band actually is. Because they love you and it means a lot to them.
Yeah.
But there's a big world out there that can give two fucking shits.
There's also those mega fans as well where you do start thinking, do you know what? A new Sacred Reich album means more to them than it does to us. Do you know, these people are going like, you know, they're bugging you. And I mean, I've got talking about how the internet works. I had a guy saying on the Ask Around Facebook page, and he was going, oh yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to the new Sacred Reich album. This is about 2-3 years ago, and I was like, well, good luck with that. There isn't one. And then he triumphantly posts a link to a YouTube interview with you at a festival in Holland, saying Phil Rind talks about new Sacred Reich album.
Oh yeah.
So I watched the interview.
There is not one.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. He
just
couldn't even be bothered to watch the fucking clip.
Well, this is 2017.
It's like, you call yourself a fan. I was like, have you watched the clip? And he was like, no. It's like, yeah, there's nothing coming.
Yes, people. Yeah. It's clickbait, or people see something and.
Oh, wait till you see I come up with the title for this.
Phil Rind speaks about the future of Sacred Reich. What?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I'll create some clickbait.
I'd like to hear this.
Oh, you're in it.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny.
I just don't ask too many questions.
But so how long are you out on the road for on this trip?
This tour's about a month,
Right.
and then we go back and we do 3 weeks in the U.S.
Right. Okay.
For the first time in 21 years.
I was going to say that's a real chunk because normally it's just been sort of one-off festivals. Or
we've been touring like 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Last year we did 3 weeks. This year it's 4 weeks, and then 3 weeks in the U.S. It'll be interesting.
And how's that like logistically at home with like jobs and stuff like that?
Fine.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty understanding.
Yeah, we're lucky that we're mostly unemployed, so it doesn't matter. Unemployable.
And the one that does is employed can pull it.
Yeah, Wiley owns a couple restaurants, so he's
Right.
finagled the time off because he's the fucking boss. He should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's the point of being the boss if you can't, sort it out and go on tour?
What do you think, JR?
To my recollection, this is probably what they meant.
Do we need to tighten it down?
Yeah. I'm just getting it. It's all finger tight, but now I gotta just tighten it.
I love when things are finger tight.
It's looking good, man.
See it.
Okay, don't you always? So, as regards your the future, obviously you've got this tour, and it's all based around. Are you playing the whole album?
No.
Good.
No.
Good. Not that I don't like the album, but I don't like those shows.
There's songs that I don't like on the record. I don't want to play, so we're not going to play.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Ignorance, because everyone's asking, "Are you playing Ignorance in its entirety?" And I was like, "No."
That would be.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible. That'd be awful.
Well, the thing is, as well, is that like because you wrote that as when you were young kids, and it's like your songwriting and your progresses and everything.
I don't ever want to play Sacred Reich ever again. I don't want to play. I don't want to ever play No Believers ever again. Ever. I don't feel like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like you can't put it. You can't do those songs and put it across like you're enjoying it. It's like people can be.
Or anything.
Hey, Paula.
I love it.
We're doing actually a podcast. I'm just going to let you know. It's okay. I'm just letting you know so it doesn't keep going on.
Yeah.
That's all.
And or that you should say something that you shouldn't.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I just want to let you know, so you know, because you didn't know. So now you know.
Yeah.
No problem. That's Paula Wiley's wife.
And
Hello,
that's
Paula
when you
Wiley's
really
wife.
want to talk to. I'm just kidding.
See you later.
So yeah, it's. I mean, even when you're like you put in back in the day when you're putting albums out back to back, you start not liking songs off previous stuff. Or
I mean, it's mostly that record.
It's like, oh, we've got enough songs. Great, we can drop this.
It's mostly that record.
Yeah.
Can you think of songs off like any other record that you don't want to play?
What do you mean?
Like I said, like I don't want to play No Believers. I don't want to play Sacred Reich.
I don't want to play Sacred Reich.
Right, but can you think of any songs off any other records that you really don't want to play?
I don't think we should play Ask Ed. I don't think we should
but
play 31 Flavors.
No, 31 Flavors.
31 Flavors. That goes without saying.
But Ask Ed would be kind of cool. Like I don't want to not play it, but it's not something we will play. But I refuse to play No Believers.
No Believers doesn't bother me. I only like the intro to that song really anyways.
Like musically.
Oh, so you can play the intro for you and then go into something else.
We talked about playing like the intro to that and Rest in Peace because we like the intros.
Yeah.
But I don't like medleys.
Is an intro record. None of our other albums have intros like that.
Yeah.
Every song on that record, almost
Every
good song's got an
of
intro.
intros.
I think that's it though. You play the intro and it's like you're giving the crowd, you're just giving them the tip.
Yeah.
and then you take that away and do something else.
Or the tip band. So
Actually, dude,
hey, do you want to see if you can find a?
yeah, I gotta see it. Just 2 seconds.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
So it's just those songs. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like the other records, like he's like, oh, I asked it. There's some songs that are a little out of the norm, but that's not songs that I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
They just don't really kind of fit in with the set and stuff, make it cohesive kind of deal.
Well, the thing is, as well, is that ultimately, as we've talked about, you you've got to do this thing for yourself. You've got to enjoy it, and you can't be stood there playing songs you don't like.
No, we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people like play Sacred Reich. I'm like, you don't want to see us play Sacred Reich, trust me.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I wasn't real.
Yeah, I don't want to play
intro
Rest
on
in
that one
Peace.
too.
Dude, we're going to have to play Draining You Alive.
That was the one.
I think we're going to have to play it because next year's 30 years of
That song is
surf.
so Slayer.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll give it a
But Slayer have been doing the same thing for 30 years
Hey,
as well.
check it out. If we play Draining You Alive, we will actually play Surf Nicaragua in its entirety. All 4 songs.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be funny if we did playing Surf Nicaragua in its entirety.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, playing
This
like
is terrible. Okay.
playing 25-minute sets.
Surf One Nation, War Pigs.
Yeah, and Draining.
Training Your Life was on that?
Yeah. I don't know how it didn't make it on the first record. That was on our demo, and somehow it didn't make it on our first record.
Pretty sure.
I'm 100% certain, Jason. I'm 100%. Our demo's
I
called.
have done. That could have been a trivia question on Jeopardy for all the money.
Our
And I got it wrong.
Listen, our demo is called Draining You of Life, and it didn't make it on our first record.
That's what I mean.
We're ironic.
That's record labels for you right there.
No, it was us.
Really?
It had nothing to do with them.
I thought that was the one song that never made it on a record. And that's another trivia question that would have got wrong.
It was on
Every
Surf.
song we ever wrote got on a record.
It did.
So just as long as Sacred Reich's not your specialist subject, you'd be okay.
It's difficult to play in a weird way.
It's just not a good song.
And
It's our first song we ever wrote. It needs to be retired.
Right, yeah.
It's
yeah.
not. It's not good.
So how do you feel about the American way then?
I like that one.
Other than 31 Favours?
I like that one. I like 31 Flavors. I like the idea at the time,
No,
but
the
I don't want to
song's
play
cool.
it anymore.
We
I
just
can't
don't think we
listen.
should play
I
it
can't
live.
listen to that.
That was the question. Did we play it live?
It was not executed properly. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not my
But
favorite
the thing is,
song.
that's what was happening at the time though.
Well, I don't
You
know.
know?
It was.
Now, I'm trying to remember, did you guys tour the UK with Forbidden?
Yes.
Right, okay, so you and I have met, believe it or not. We met in Bradford, not the time.
Right, the time before.
Yeah. Bradford, your favourite place in the world.
Seas of Crime.
I don't care. It's the best story. Best tour story. Yeah.
Thrown through a window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell my kids that. They're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, like a barroom fight.
So it's a proper
Rory got
bar. How the
that.
fuck do you end up in a proper barroom fight? Like, in the
Wrong
city?
place at the wrong time.
Right.
So, we like to smoke weed.
Yeah.
So we
Who
had a
doesn't?
day off in Bradford. We said, where should we go to get some weed? They go to this place. So we went there during the day.
Yeah.
And we were drinking, hanging out, trying to score some hash or whatever. And some of the guys left and some of us stayed. And as the night went on, like all these biker guys started showing up, like turned into like a biker bar.
Right.
During the day it was mellow. And as the night progressed, all these bikers showed up, and apparently they were called the Satan Slaves. Apparently they look for trouble. That's their deal.
Right.
And we were
Hells Angels.
the guys.
Whatever.
And there was a guy, and I had like when somebody like in JFK at the airport gave me this little harmonica, like 3 little, like a tiny, like as big as your finger.
Like a key ring.
Yeah.
Harmonica, yeah.
And I was like playing it, woo, like, and this guy's like, "Fuck off," you know. And I'm like, and I go, look, it only has 3 holes. How good? He looks at me, he's like, "Fuck off!" Like, I'm serious. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he's like, he came up and he was like, "Yo, you from America?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Fuck that place. I went there and all I got was a rash of shit." And I go, "That's weird. Like when we meet people from somewhere else, we want to, talk to them, find out." And he was an enormous dude. And I was standing in front of him, and James from Atrophy was standing to one side, and Goody, he was Jason's guitar tech, was standing on one side. He goes, "You from America?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You from America?" And James goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You from America?" "Yeah." And he punched all 3 of us, and they all jumped us.
Fuck.
And next thing I know, the dude had me by the hair, and I was bent over, and some dude's totally uppercutting me in the face.
Oh.
And there's a dude kicking me on one side, another dude hitting me from 3 dudes were working me over, and I just covered up my face as best I could. They were beating the shit out of me, and I heard Gloria, our manager, was in the bathroom, and I heard her go, "Oh my God!" She came out of the bathroom, and we were getting the shit kicked out of us, and then. I don't know what happened. I got let go, and James grabbed me and I think pulled me outside, and he ran off. And I got outside, and I was kind of out of it. And I heard Gloria go, "They got Goody!" And I was like, I get outside and our sound guy's like sitting on the ground talking to some girl. I'm like, we gotta go get Goody. He's still in there. And I turn around, they were piling up, pow, punch in the face again. And had me like with my jacket over my head, my leather jacket, and I couldn't move and just uppercut me, punching me, and then took me and swung me through this window. And I remember the window coming, and I thought to myself in a split second, like, am I gonna bounce off? I thought you might go boom, bounce.
Yeah.
No, right through, and I was like, oh, that answers that.
Fuck.
And then, like, the dude was just kicking my ass, and I was like, there wasn't, like, a lot I could do.
So throwing you through the window, did it finish with throwing you through the window?
No, like, he kind of he held on to me, threw me through the window, broke it, and then dragged me back out, never let me go. And then, and finally, somebody was like, let him go, jumped on his back or something. He finally let me go, and I was like, whoa. Pulled my jacket down and started walking back towards the hotel. And the bus pulled up, and they took us to the hospital. So Goody was coming outside like this with his hands up. Hey, man, I got no problem. The doorman's like, okay. And then just punched him right in the face. Broke his nose, gave him 2 black eyes.
Shit.
And so I had like some cuts on my shoulder and stuff. They gave me some stitches. And Goody had a busted face.
But that's, thrown through a window, people have died from that.
Well, I had some cuts like on my neck and stuff. Had they been deeper, I probably would have died, but they weren't.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the hospital and they're giving us stitches, and they were like, "What happened?" I go, "Satan's slaves." They're like, "Oh, they send people in here every weekend." They go. There was one people that were going to testify against, and they went to their house, threw acid on their face. They go, "You got off easy."
Right.
That's what they told us. We're like, okay. And then I'm sitting there and the phone rings. I hear the phone ring. I go, that's my mom.
Right.
And they go, Mr. Rind, you have a phone call? I'm like, yeah. I knew my mom's ring. My
wow.
mom, I knew, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
Fuck.
That was crazy.
I know, but the weird thing is, the next time you're over in the UK, they routed all through Bradford again. I was like, did you see that
there again? I think we canceled the show, but came back and redid the show.
Right, so that's when you came back with Forbidden.
Yeah, no, it was the same tour.
Really?
It was just it was a few days, like when we had a day off, we came back through.
Because I remember that, because that's when Boss Stuff was playing with a broken arm, wasn't it?
It was the same tour.
Yeah. Because I remember being in your dressing room. Funny enough, I remember Gloria being there, and just a lot of people around there. It was an awesome show, but I don't remember you looking like you taking a world class beating.
No, I had my hands up.
Right, yeah.
So they didn't really get my face. The dude was hitting me in the head. If you had seen my skull, it was just, I laid down, it was just a bunch of lumps. Like it just hit me in the head. But my head is there's a song by Jane's Addiction, and it says, bump my head, I'm a battering ram, goddamn took the pain. I'm like, that's my head. I have a gigantic head, it's a battering ram. You can hit me in the head all day long, nothing's going to happen. I protected my face, like my forearms were all lumped up from where they were hitting me, but it was okay.
Were you able to cover your ribs or anything?
I just went like this. Like they worked me a little on the ribs. It's okay. Like it wasn't a big deal. But when we played the show, someone jumped on stage and patted me like that on the shoulder, and I was like, I go, if you want to pat me on the shoulder, pat me on this one, because I have stitches in this one.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't see. Goody looked totally fucked up though. He had the broken nose, 2 black eyes. He looked messed up. Like dude from Kerrang came to take pictures. I go, not to me. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to sensationalize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mind you, at least you got all your free health care on the National Health Service.
I didn't pay the bill, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, too right. That's just...
It's the least you can do if you kick my ass, have the country pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's like, okay, shit happened. Like, I go, I must have done something. You don't get your ass kicked for no reason.
I think you were right the first time. Wrong time, wrong place.
The karma cops came.
Yeah, and they just fucked you over, and that was that. But it's a great story you have, though, isn't it? It's it's a great war story.
Yeah, like we have a bunch of like crazy shit happening. That makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Also, shit always happens when you're younger as well, doesn't it? You know?
We had like riot in Boston, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Shit happens.
And none of that happens now, does it?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
No,
We're not stirring shit up either.
Yeah. That's it. It's like the older you get, the mellower you get. I mean, I'm always telling people I'm actually enjoying the second time round, I think, more than the first, because I don't know, I just carried a lot of stress around with me, and it's like you just, you're always thinking about everything, and you don't see other bands as friends. Everybody's a fucking competitor.
Yeah, I never felt like that, but the thing that we had was, I think we were too serious. Like,
that's what I mean.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the most. Well, sorry. I always describe it like this: when it was the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like when you were playing, it was the most important thing in the world. When you get older, your priorities change a little bit, things change. But at that time, that's it. It's everything.
Also, I think when you're young as well, it's like there's your opinion, and then there's everybody else who's wrong.
Right.
Yes. And that's a problem you get within bands as well, because it's like you can't work shit out. You can't talk stuff out, and it's like I always remember thinking, it's like if we're going to do stuff as a band, like, if we're going to go to the pub, everyone has to come to the pub. Right, you've all got to go to the pub. You can't have like one person not coming to the pub. That's like you're saying you don't want to be in the band if you don't. Do you know what I mean?
We were never like that, but
it's like But like I said, when you're younger, you don't talk shit out.
We were always a good democracy, right, Chase?
Yeah, the only problem was there's 4 of us.
Yeah, that's having spent my time in a band where there's 5 people. And you think you're going to end up always end up. You think you're always going to end up with a majority. What you end up with is 5 people voting for 5 different fucking things, or trying to pull 5 different ways. That's an interesting democracy right there.
We worked it out. Bill made me laugh. I told you the conversation I had with Bill once, Matoya, where he goes. We were in the studio and everybody else was gone. He goes, "You're good." I go, "What?" He goes, "You're good. Everyone thinks it's a democracy."
That's a true politician.
Yeah. So those few. Oh no.
2 directions?
No, unfortunately.
No, I tried it the other way and they fall. Yes.
So we're just looking at the merch setup at the moment,
at least
guys.
you can bump into it.
But the problem is that's going to come out, and then we have boxes on top of it. Well, that'll be what it'll be. Okay.
Unless there's some directions that can prove my other theory.
I got you.
Wrong.
Okay.
If it goes against the wall, it's fine.
I understand what you're saying.
But I want to be able to stand. It's not going to fall.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to all be lined up here when everyone comes in.
It's not that far out.
No, it's fine. Whatever. Let's put a box there and a box there.
Whatever's clever, buddy.
That's the whatever's clever tour.
Absolutely.
We have 4 different shirts.
Yeah.
So 2 will go on each one.
So you're going to do...
we have?
2.
So you've got a 30-year anniversary shirt.
We have a tour shirt.
Yeah.
Then we have an ignorant shirt, which we never made, but we had ignorant shirts in 1987 on our tour, which was 4 shows.
They were white.
And they were white.
And thin.
So, we never really did an ignorant shirt. So we redid it in black.
Obviously.
And Paul cleaned up the artwork because he was never super happy with the cover.
Yeah.
So we made it kind of proper, made the logo bigger so it looks good.
Yeah.
And then we have Surf, which...
Well, that's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the
it
classic
would be
thrash
stupid
shirt.
not to bring it. And then our regular OD shirt, like the original shirt that we made, like Gary Nerger made for us, with the Violent Solutions on the back, and that was 1987.
But I like working on the merch and everything these days. I love it because I think trying to come up with cool stuff.
Selling shirts. I don't like all the carrying the boxes.
Oh, you mean coming up with the shirts?
Yeah, I mean designing. Definitely not carrying boxes around. I'm with you on that. Hey, look, I'm the vocalist. I don't carry anything. No, I enjoy all that. When you're putting cool stuff together and thinking, I know this is going to fucking go over really well, and people are going to be really excited about that.
Yeah, I think people like it.
Well, let's face it, merch is the new album, isn't it? I mean, it's what people will buy.
Well,
because there's no physical product in the shops anymore.
Well, it's actually it's the major part of your income.
Yeah, it's your revenue stream. We did tour back in April, and and then looked at the books at the end of the tour, and basically, fees covered
Your expenses.
our expenses,
Yeah.
and whatever money you want to make, it's merch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's it. Yeah, and you know, I've learned, you know, we thought like it would be a really good idea to do lots of different designs. We did lots of different designs, and then too much choice. Absolutely.
Well, who wants to carry all that shit?
Well,
People are like,
I
want a hoodie. I'm like, you know how much room hoodies take up? I mean, logistically,
Yeah,
they're just too big. We already are carrying around so much stuff. I mean, and then you need hoodies in like 5 different SKUs of sizes. I'm like, I can't do it.
and they're expensive.
Well, so what I'm thinking is we may do an online store.
Yeah,
So stuff I don't want to carry around with us. T-shirts are fine, patches are fine, pins are fine. They don't take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
There's a finite amount of room you have. And I can't take all the shirts. I need a second drop. I can't take all the shirts at once. We don't have enough room for it.
Yeah.
It'd be like 22 boxes. Who has room for 22 boxes?
well, we did a patch as well, which is great. It's a great margin on them as well, and we did posters as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you all about that off air as well. Just the margin,
Yeah, but
but they weigh nothing. You know,
is it a pain in the ass though?
yeah, not really. Also, people will if you're going to sign the shirts, you end up with a merch stall at the end of the gig that looks like down the front. If you can all head straight out and say, well, we'll do your poster, we'll sign it. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm here. I'll have and you know, it worked really well.
Yeah,
Worked
posters
really well.
people would love to sign.
Yeah, well, exactly, because you get, you know, that's the like.
We talked about doing posters. I didn't want to carry them.
Right.
I just think they're just like paper. I'm like, I guess tubes, right?
Well, what we did was we got 300 GSM. It's like cardboard. And it's like flappy. You know, so
How big were they?
A3.
I don't know what that is.
Right. Okay. We know A4, like letter size,
Oh, okay.
big letter size, so kind of like that.
Oh, so not like wall.
No. So basically, like that, like basically that up to the ceiling.
Oh, okay.
And that wide.
Oh, that makes sense. That's cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool.
And they're kind of cardboard as well. And as soon as we did them, you've got people sending in pictures saying, "Here it is framed in the front room."
Ooh,
Here,
yeah.
or more
Yeah, that
likely,
would be cool.
Or more likely, here it is in the toilet.
Yeah.
But yeah, people love it. And they're like, "Oh, can you put this and can you put that?
Sure.
And can you sign the
Yeah.
date on it?" And
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be cool to do like some cool artwork, but I don't want our faces on them in any sort of way.
No. This was like
Artwork?
really cool artwork. We did for the last single, and it was like as soon as I saw the artwork for the first time, it's like, right, that's a shirt, that's a poster,
Cool.
and it ended up being the lyric video as
Yeah,
well.
that
So
would
it's
be
like,
cool. That would make a lot more sense. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking posters rolled up in a poster tube.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
fuck
nightmare.
that. Well, the great thing about that size as well is they'll fit in they fit in your boxes with your shirts, so you can just put them in, shirts on top or shirts down, posters on top.
Right.
They take up so little
Wow,
room.
that's
You can
cool.
spread them across your boxes.
Yeah, and it's like a collectible thing.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
people can have and keep, and it's cool. Yeah.
And when you've got a slightly older fan base like we have, then that's the kind of thing that they want to frame and put on the wall. And we've like,
and
people,
that's
you know,
cool too. Yeah, I like that.
You know, people said like, "Oh, look, here it is in my office" and stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool.
In my office, that's funny.
I know, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or when it's like, when I don't know how you feel about it, when people come and they're like, "Oh, it's my first time. I brought my kid as well," and you're like,
That's awesome.
God, that
I
is
think
just
that's fantastic.
yeah.
When people go, "Oh, this is my first time seeing the band," I always feel like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Like we used to be a lot cooler, like looking, you know. But I think we sound better now. Like we play better. I think.
Yeah.
I think I sing better.
Yeah,
But we don't look cool. Like we used to look cool.
yeah, but the thing is, it's like,
Well,
Neither
we used
did-
to look cool, air quotes.
yeah, but guess what happened to the audience?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, more or less.
Yeah, it's like, you know, no one's rocking up looking like they're 17 when they're
Some
when they're
people
47. Well, yeah, that's me accepted, obviously, but no, but it is. It's, I mean, when you've got a parent saying, "I feel like a teenager again," you know, and here's my son who's like, you know, who I've got into.
Man, my
and
oldest
it's like,
son's 25. You know, like
wow, man.
yeah. So I go, how did I get a 25-year-old kid? Like
I know. It's just like it's weird.
I don't
isn't it?
feel old. Like,
But do you think there's something about doing this that keeps you young?
well, I think we're all a bunch of immature children. I mean, it's not this. It's just who we are. I talked to my daughter. I have a 25-year-old, 23-year-old, a 15, and a 13. And my daughter sometimes says, like, I wish I had like a more mature dad. I go, you really think that? She goes, no. Sometimes you always make a joke out of everything. You're always like, I go, yeah. I go, do you have friends with cooler parents? I mean, are you missing something? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, then you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
like, growing up is a trap.
Yeah.
Having an old way of thinking is a trap because it doesn't grow, it doesn't change. Old is rigid.
Yes.
Old is set in its ways. Old is not like an old mentality. Age is a number.
Yeah.
A mentality can be old.
I know friends of mine who were old by they were 22,
Sure.
21.
And they just stuck in a rut or
Yeah.
just okay with the way things are and continue, aren't interested in new things and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested in a lot of new things, but I'm open to other stuff, you know what I mean?
And it's that remaining open to stuff. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
just not being closed off.
Yeah.
That's old.
Well, what cracks me up is when I get people saying, like, we're going to come to the show, but I won't go down the front, not at my age. It's like, I'm fucking older than you. If we took that attitude, you wouldn't be going to the gig because there'd be no gig.
Right.
It's like age is a reason, for me, I always think like age is a reason to do things. Yeah? Because you might not get this opportunity again. You might not get this chance again.
And it depends how you feel, right?
Yeah.
Because if you feel great and feel like going and doing stuff, if you don't feel up to it, sometimes I get that too.
Oh, we all get that from time to
Yeah,
time.
just like, I thought I was going to go out, but I think I'm going to go read a book and lay down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel the need to go do a bunch of stuff all the time either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think as I get older, I don't feel like I'm missing out on stuff. I think when you're younger, you're like, I'm missing. What am I missing? Like, I don't think I'm missing anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
how can we help you?
Skid about?
He would be up by the stage probably, or in the dressing room area.
Are these all working out okay?
Yes. So can we pause this real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Aha. Here's where I say scam. So what do I owe you?
It was 114 for these plus.
You can claim VAT back. It's all forms and shit like that. But yeah, it'll happen. But yeah, I know what you mean about like not missing out on stuff, and especially with social media as well. So you always know what everyone's doing anyway. So and I'm glad that you have fun administering that page as well.
Yeah.
Because I do ours most of the time. And,
The Facebook, the Instagram, whatever it is.
Are you guys on Twitter as well?
Huh?
Right, I'm gonna find you on there as well.
Yeah, it's not. It's probably our least trafficked one.
Same here.
And Facebook's a lot of interaction to most people.
Yeah, same
And
here.
Instagram's second. It's fun because it's mostly just photos.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Well, let's face it. The older generation, we claimed Facebook, didn't we?
Yes, the kids have moved on.
That's it. Yeah, we took that shit over.
MySpace.
MySpace. Yeah, I gotta admit, I don't miss MySpace, but I'm still in touch with, or rather, in touch with a surprisingly large amount of people that found me through MySpace.
It took me a long time to like Facebook better.
Yeah.
I liked MySpace.
Yeah, no, I did, and I know what you mean.
Facebook has it's like it's its own living entity.
Yeah.
It really trips me out.
There's two people.
I haven't posted
What a twat.
any pictures ever in my life if I've uploaded anything to that. And look at my repertoire. I've got stuff I got up because I've been tagged in it by these guys. I got all their photos from Europe. Got all the photos of everything else. I never put one on there myself.
Right.
My page looks like somebody took some time on it. And it was a computer, biorhythm, what do they call it?
Well, like you said, it's almost like its own living entity. Where it's like over 1 billion users. It's like that's over 1 billion people live there. on
It's amazing,
Facebook.
though. That's the whole internet thing.
Yeah.
How
I
much-
just posted a picture to Facebook. I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I was like, oh, I want to go take a picture of the marquee
Ah,
and say London tonight. So if people don't know,
yeah.
now they will.
Yeah, it's the marquee. That's some nights there.
Fuck. I remember the first time we played, and we did an in-store at the record store. Was it Sounds Records or something? We did it in-store, and we were walking back towards
Shades?
Shades.
Downstairs,
Yeah.
in the basement. Yeah.
And we were walking back to the store, and I was like, what the fuck are all those people? They go, that's the line for the show. I was like, holy shit. There was a line like around the block. I was like, for us?
We broke Jimi Hendrix's record.
Oh, I don't know.
There was some record we broke in the longest queue.
There's always a record.
Yeah,
Oh, well, now it's just a big pub. Now it's just a big pub with a few kind of like plaques. Jimi Hendrix spelt wrong. It's just like, oh well.
But that show is totally insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, the marquee
Almost
shows.
died.
Yeah, those were great shows.
The marquee shows used to be amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. We did
Unless
that.
you're in the very front row.
Yeah.
It's totally uncomfortable.
Then it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, there is that. But again, I mean, that's just it's just a shame it went, and so many venues gone. And as
It
well.
wouldn't be like that anymore, though.
No, but we've just lost so many venues. I mean, that way you had the marquee just up the road. You had the Astoria, just up the road from that was the LA2 underground, and all three have gone. So it's just kind of like, well, what do we do?
I think that's a sign.
Yeah, I do. I think you're right. Phil, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure, man.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
I'm glad we were able to do this. Squeeze her in.
Yeah, no, hey, multitasking. Who says? And there you have it, my interview with Phil yesterday. It was really nice. He was just such an accommodating guy, we had quite a little bit of a chat after the podcast finished. The sound check at the end there actually stopped, and we ended up having a bit of a chat about all sorts, and also sharing a few tips on merch with each other. And Phil is the one who he administrates the band's Facebook page, and when he announced the UK tour and all that, and got all the inevitable UK fucking moaners about how they weren't playing their town or their garden or their fucking bedroom. So and somebody had tagged us in it, saying, oh, if you had these guys play with you, and then I saw the thread, and I saw these moaners. So I made a few comment about, like, it was like, and I think he'd commented saying, sorry dude, we're not playing your town, but there's only so many we can play, and I was like, and I was commenting. So anyway, basically we ended up having a little bit of a giggle about all of that. But it was really cool. It was really cool. You heard there, and that's all I got to say, really. Now I have calmed down. By the way, I've actually had a haircut since having that rant. The sister of the woman who used to cut my hair has gone mobile, so now she calls in and cuts my hair whenever I'm at home. So yeah, I've had anyway. Fascinating stuff. I don't know why I shared that with you, but this is continuing the overshare that is this podcast at the moment, or at least today, anyway. I just thought I'd put that out there. So yeah, I was watching some footage the other day. No, what was that was it. I heard a song by System of a Down, and it was from the Steal This album. It was the pepperoni, green peppers, mushrooms, olive chives, pepperoni, green peppers. And you know what? I found it really fucking annoying. And then I started listening to a System of a bit other tracks. And I think I've got a problem with that band. I mean, I saw them tour their first album, okay? I saw them play the UK on their very first album, and I got into them on their first album. And not like everybody else coming late to the party on, Toxicity or even later. And I've got a problem with them, and the problem is that they haven't put out any new fucking music for so long, and yet they're headlining festivals, and it's just like they're just a tribute band. They're a pale imitation of the band they used to be. Yes, I know Tool haven't put any new music out for years and years, but at least it's coming at some point. At least that they definitely they have confirmed they're working on an album and all the rest of it. So it's just I don't know, that band is being spoiled for me by them. They just seem to be, the legacy is getting weaker and weaker. The longer it gets from the last time they put any new stuff out, the more I think, this is just bollocks. You're just taking a piss now. And somebody actually said, a friend of mine lives in Belgium, and they're like, oh, do you want to come over? Our System of a Down here. And I was like, they can fuck off until they record some new material, because I'm not interested. You cannot just trade on past glories all the time. Now, I'm well aware what I'm saying here. Yes, Acid Rain hasn't put any new stuff, hasn't put a new album out for over 20 years, but we weren't together, and we are going to try and put one out, and we have put 2 new songs out. They haven't even done a song, and it's just, I just think it's taking a piss. But then people are prepared. People, stump up money to see him. Fine, that's great. If that's what you want to do, great. I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing it, but for me, what I'm saying is their legacy is getting more and more meaningless by the day. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But I'm just, it's, I don't know. It's bugging at me, and it's making albums that I once loved. It's making me not love them. It's making it very difficult to listen to them, to be honest, because I just think, really, we still not getting anything new? We still not getting anything decent? It's just, it just pisses me off. Just pisses me off, because I'd like to hear some new stuff, but it's getting to the stage now where I'm thinking, do you know what? If they did put out a new album, I don't think I'd care. I really don't. But anyway, fuck it. Let's move on. Let's move on. In fact, let's have another interview. Now, this second interview is, it is with Metal Lina, as I'm going to call her. That's Metal Lina. And she's a fascinating woman. I don't want to say too much, because I want you to listen to this interview and just hear how amazing this woman's life has been. She is into metal. She is Lebanese. Metal is illegal in Lebanon. That's enough, really, isn't it? So, yeah. Pin your ears back, sit down, and have a listen to this fascinating woman and her fascinating journey. Hello. You join me, or join us, rather. I am in Lina, or Metal Lina's front room, in deepest, darkest, and incredibly warm and sweaty North London. Had a little bit of a mission parking the car, but it's all been worth it. I've been met with coffee and beautiful Belgian biscuits, so yeah, Lina, welcome to the podcast.
Well, welcome to my living room.
It's lovely. It really is. It's great, and I love this mug. I'm Lebanese. I can't keep calm.
Yeah, it's very accurate. Yeah, if I were to pick a slogan for being Lebanese, yeah, this would be it. And actually, I did buy this at the airport in Beirut. So it is officially sanctioned by the Lebanese authorities.
Right. Well, let's dig straight in. So, are you officially sanctioned by the Lebanese authorities?
Well, let's just say I've only been arrested once. So,
right, okay.
So far I am doing fine, considering that they let me go. But that was a long time ago.
So how long have you been, I don't know, what do you do? What's your official title?
Official title?
Yeah.
Are you talking about work?
Well, yeah. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? If we can squeeze this into about an hour and a half. Your official title at work?
Official title at work. So, you introduced me as Lina Metalina. My real name is Lina Khatib. It's an Arabic surname because I'm originally Lebanese. I'm British. I've been a Lebanese expat for almost 20 years now. And over the years, I've done many different things with my life. But right now, I work in policy. So I work for a think tank in London. This is what I do to make a living. My official title is Head of the Middle East and North Africa Program.
Wow! Right, okay, so sort all that out before tea then.
Yeah, it's just this, this think tank called Chatham House that...
Oh, know it very well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people may not know if they don't care about politics and policy, but this is what I do. It happens to be one of the world's most prominent institutions. And my job is to think about what's happening in the Middle East in terms of politics and security, write about it, speak about it, try to get the public to understand all the stuff that's going on there a bit better.
Good
and
luck.
Exactly, but all that is easy compared with talking to the policymakers around the world and trying to tell them what I think they should do, and they ignore me.
Yes, yeah, I have found very often that people will often, even in some cases, they will pay for advice and then ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you realize when you work in politics is that a lot of politicians around the world bring in experts just to say, we've listened to diverse opinions, but they end up doing whatever they want to do anyway. So,
or they bring people in to who they know are going to agree. They bring people in to back their point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I know for sure that would not be me, because everybody in my field knows that I'm not that kind of person. Yeah. Meaning I will say it as it is, and I will try to give them as much of a hard time as I can, which I rather enjoy doing. So I see part of my job is trying as much as I can to hold politicians accountable for all the mess that they're creating in the world.
Wow. So but this also involves the fact that basically, I mean, it's a job that's life consuming, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's not a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. I do have an office that I go to every now and then, but the job is basically 24 hours. I am constantly traveling around the world, speaking about the Middle East, talking to different governments about the Middle East, speaking at conferences, doing field work, doing media in the middle of the night, Skyping at 4 in the morning, whatever it is.
Podcasting at 5 in the evening.
Yeah, well, you see, yes, this counts as media outreach.
Outreach to the metal community.
Yeah, why not? It's a whole new audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm sure this podcast would be the one place people would come.
Yeah, well, you see, Chatham House does do podcasts, but not like this. But maybe this can be the start of a new career for you as well.
Who knows?
Who knows? You know, they might listen to this and say, hey, this is exactly what think tanks need right now.
A more relaxed approach.
Absolutely. We need podcasts like this to reach out to the average person who otherwise wouldn't care about what's going on in the Middle East or anywhere else in the world for that matter.
And my listeners are very much above average, so that works beautifully for both of us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think I think we may reach a good deal by the end of this conversation.
Absolutely. So obviously, I referred to you as Metal Lina. You're kind of quite well known for all the best reasons within the London heavy metal scene. Is there a clash at all there with work, with culture, with
Well, when I came back to London after having lived abroad for a while, because what happened is I moved to the UK from Lebanon and settled...
Why was that, by the way?
Oh, I first came to the UK to study, actually.
Right. Okay. So you weren't fleeing anything.
No, I didn't. I didn't flee anything at the time.
I'm sorry, but I'm of that age where you hear Lebanon.
Yeah.
Leaving Lebanon means you fled because something was on fire.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, you can say I did flee, but not an active conflict or something. I mean, let's put it this way.
Right. Oppressive parents.
No.
The drinking laws.
No, the country as a whole.
Right.
It's not very pleasant, sadly.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in Lebanon during the Civil War. I lived through most of it. That wasn't fun, I can tell you that. But then in the 90s, the war ended. And I went to university in Lebanon, had a great time doing that. However, it was...
Hang on. Can I just stop you there? Because that for me is fascinating. It's like, how do you go from living in a place that is essentially not falling apart, but it's at war with itself, for God's sake, civil war, it's tearing itself apart.
Yeah.
How does that suddenly go from, this time last year we were shooting each other, to, I'm going to go to uni now?
Exactly.
That just seems like so much to try and wrap your head around.
Yeah, it was quite crazy. Actually, the Lebanese Civil War was a brutal war, and I lost family members, etc., in that war. But the Lebanese, even during the war, never stopped partying. And this is something that will be very difficult for people outside Lebanon to imagine. So maybe let's actually, before I talk about how I got to be here in the London metal community, maybe I'll tell you a bit about my upbringing, which not many people know about. So you'll be the first person with your listeners to know about my crazy childhood. So basically, I grew up during the Civil War. But the way things were at the time were as follows. When the bombing stopped, because it did stop for a few days at a time, because, the fighters just needed a break, or there was a local truce, or they ran out of weapons, or whatever it was. Yeah. We were all like, great, let's go out and party while we can. Right. And at that time, my father did many jobs, as I do now, and one of them was a music promoter, and he also owned a kind of society magazine. So he was invited to all the gigs and all the parties, and I was a kid at the time, but my parents would drag me and my brother to all the clubs that they went to. And you can imagine, I was 10, my brother was 8, and we accompanied my parents sometimes to as many as 3 nightclubs per evening. We would come back home at like 5 in the morning.
So parents would take you out clubbing, basically?
Absolutely. So I grew up surrounded by 2 sets of people, politicians and artists. And to me, the 2 worlds were more or less the same, because my father did
both. A bit crazy.
He was a journalist, and, he did all that. So I grew up, just thinking it's perfectly normal to combine, say, music and politics, which is exactly what I do now. So not much has changed since I was 10. But now, thinking about it, of course, it was nuts. You've got these 2 kids, in a nightclub. Yeah. But it meant we met all the celebrities. I have all these photos, at my parents' house of me with all these, celebrities from the Arab world, all these singers, who used to be performing at these gigs that we went to. So it was a completely crazy upbringing, but it was a lot of fun. And then, sometimes we'd arrive back home and, hey, a bomb lands, and suddenly we have to go down to a shelter and hide. And
then it's back to the war routine again.
Absolutely.
Someone's broken the truce. Yeah. So it's back. And bear in mind that truce can break any minute. It can break in the middle of partying in a nightclub.
Yeah. And the thing is, it did happen. And it meant that the atmosphere in Lebanon was one in which people felt that we could die anytime. Exactly. Yes. So we might as well make the best out of
every minute could be the last minute of your life.
Absolutely. So the hedonism still continues in Lebanon until today. And
I must book that flight.
Yeah, it's actually, so you can have fun actually in Lebanon. It's a crazy place. But so that's why when the war ended, we were all like, great, now we can party as much as we like without, fearing that a bomb is going to explode any minute now. Yeah. And party we did. And so I went to university, and I was already a metalhead when I was a teenager, listening to mainly Iron Maiden and Guns N' Roses and Metallica and Nirvana at school. And then I formed my first band.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yes, so that was my first, if you like, proper kind of entry into the world of metal. I played in this band, which wasn't a very good band, but it was a lot of fun. And me and the guys are still very good friends until today. The band was called Paranoid. And it was an alternative.
I wonder where you got that name from.
Yeah, Black Sabbath happens to be my favourite band. So,
what, not Acid Rain?
Let's put it this way, I didn't quite know of you in Beirut at that time.
Yeah.
Your fame hadn't reached the Middle East yet.
Yeah, so. Well, don't worry, it hasn't reached the south of the fucking UK yet. So, I'm sorry, the south coast. Right, okay. So basically, it was after all of the insanity of war, partying, etc. So what you've actually got is a fairly typical kind of heavy metal sort of musical upbringing. You know, like you were saying about, you know, your Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, Faith No More would have been in there.
There's a twist.
You know,
great. There's always a twist, because hey, it's the Middle East at the end of the day.
Of course,
so, yes, I did listen to all this stuff. However, the government didn't quite like that. And so at that time...
I thought this rang a bell.
Yeah, so at that time, even though there were many metalheads in the country and people like me were forming bands practically every day. I mean, there were bands mushrooming all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was a great time.
Yeah.
The government didn't quite like it because it basically said that metal musicians and fans are all Satan worshippers and they form a threat to society. So we had a series of witch hunts in Lebanon in which metalheads would be harassed or arrested. And I know a number of musicians in Lebanon who were arrested for just being metalheads.
Wow.
And the stories are really incredible. I mean, one person would be arrested and asked, do you listen to Metallica? And if they say yes, that's it. They go to jail just because of that.
Wow. I can think of a few bands that we could substitute in there now, and I'd be happy for people to be arrested and imprisoned for listening to them. But I mean, obviously, I make light of something that's very serious. Is it still the same now?
Now there's a period of calm in Lebanon, but you never know when it might start again, because the witch hunts kind of come and go. But at that time, the witch hunt started, and it was actually one person's suicide that created a media frenzy, because he was a metalhead, he was a teenager, and he committed suicide, and immediately the media just jumped on metal as being the reason why he killed himself.
As opposed to the fact that he didn't feel like he could live a normal life because he was being constantly oppressed for his taste in music.
Well...
Oh no, that's not the problem. It's the music.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous, but it meant that the government decided to basically ban metal. And that's when, the tapes that I used to buy at the time from, the record store next to where I lived just weren't available anymore. And a black market emerged in which people would basically try to, smuggle music as much as they could into the country. So whoever went abroad would bring back a cassette tape or a CD and remove the cover so that, it doesn't look like a metal, album.
And then presumably come back and copy it as much as they can.
Absolutely. So there were all these tapes being circulated, and that's how it was. Or you went to a record store and kind of very quietly, asked for a Metallica CD or whatever it was. So that's what happened.
So that was a tape trading network purely out of necessity, because of course, the tape trading network in the rest of the world had moved on by this point. It's like, tapes are gone, and the tape trading network disappeared. But there's one, live and well in Lebanon. But you're not trading demos; you're trading copies of albums that everyone else around the world can buy. Yeah, exactly. Simply because you had no choice. So I had my band at that time, and we were able to perform, but in the shadow of this stupidity, really. And at that time, wasn't that quite dangerous? Because if you can get imprisoned for just listening to Metallica, surely playing metal, you're up against more than. Yeah, but we didn't care. I mean, we'd lived through a civil war, Jail didn't really scare us. And in fact, I was arrested, but for something completely different. I was arrested for staging a comedy political protest against the parliamentary elections in Lebanon, because at that time, Lebanon was under actually Syrian occupation. We had the Syrian army controlling Lebanon. And elections weren't free, and I thought they were ridiculous, and I didn't feel that, I was represented in this political process. So I decided to make fun of it by creating fake election posters with fake candidates who just looked rather ridiculous, and stuck them on the streets. And the government just believed that this is a threat to the national interest, and arrested me and a couple of friends as a result. Although the arrest was not legal because we did not break any law. And in fact, when they were interrogating me, what they put in the report was arrested because of laughter and sarcasm. Wow.
Yeah, so that was metal.
God, you have to, this whole country would be in jail.
Yeah, that was very metal, I thought. No,
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Really. Yeah, but the thing is,
Did you break out? Did you get the rest of the band to break you out?
No, actually, it was quite good fun because I, as part of the collection of posters that I stuck up on the walls, I dressed up as Slash from Guns N' Roses in one of them. And basically, I just put myself as the hard rock candidate, running for elections.
Yeah.
I bet when Slash hears this, he's going to give me a call and thank me for, promoting Guns N' Roses in Lebanon as an anti-establishment, entity.
Oh, he will. He's a big big fan.
Yeah,
big fan.
I'm sure he listens to this podcast
Absolutely.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a massive Guns N' Roses fan at that time, and I had massive, big, curly hair.
Oh, right.
So,
Well,
hey.
in which case, frankly, jail was the right place for you. No matter what country you're in. I'm a big Guns N' Roses fan. Get in jail.
Yeah, I know. And so, but actually, what was touching was when I was released from jail. I only spent one night, thankfully, in that filthy jail. And actually, it was very moving because the next day, my whole family showed up and they had flowers and they were saying how proud they were of me because I dared speak up against the government.
Oh, that's brilliant. So it's the opposite of getting picked up by your parents having been arrested over here.
Yeah.
It's like, there'll be one parent.
Oh, yeah.
And that'll be the parent who is
embarrassed.
who's going to calm down enough to pick you up. The rest will just kill you on sight.
Yeah.
This is the family member who's prepared to go down
bringing
and
the
not kill
extended
you.
family, aunts and uncles,
brilliant.
and cheering, and and yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's Lebanon. Everything is kind of the opposite of let's put it this way, the norm in the West.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
nice.
it was great. I mean, unlike many who maybe listen to metal because they want to rebel against their parents or whatever, I was rebelling against society because it was backward. But I had great parents who used to show up to our rock concerts and metal concerts in their little suits and stand in the back and tell us, you should move more on stage,
Well, do you know what I'm exactly the same. Very supportive parents who were right behind the band and everything else, and I was never rebelling against, certainly not against my parents. I was never rebelling against much other than obvious injustices that you see in society.
Yeah, but I have to say, my case is truly exceptional in the Middle East because the majority
Well,
of
don't worry, it's
parents-
already truly original. Even if you take out the Middle East, it's already truly original. So you've got your whole party, your whole family coming down to have a party because you're getting released from jail.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it was basically my parents hating the society that we lived in and just living their own way, regardless and not giving a shit. And me, very much embracing this rebellious spirit and just kind of carrying it on. And, my parents are still the same until today.
Well, I was going to say, are they, and I've got to tread on thin ice here, I guess. Are they still proud? Are they still as enthusiastic? Or is there as we all get older, I get this, I know, but what about settling down? What about a family? I mean, do you get any of that at all?
They've given up on that.
Right,
they gave up a long time ago.
Because life's about what makes you happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the thing. My parents recognize that I am not very typical, let's put it this way, or traditional in any way. And they are great because they just support my choices. So they know that I have chosen this life because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
And my dad and I, particularly now that he's, in his mid-70s, agree that any opportunity to make you happy in life, you should just embrace.
Absolutely.
And he's a great partner in crime. So every now and then he goes, when are we going to go on an adventure again? So all my art projects over the years, because I've done a few of those as well as music, the books that I've worked on, my dad, whenever I've needed any help, has always volunteered to do so without asking any questions. And he just loves it. He just enjoys it. So now they're very happy that I'm, doing music as well as politics. They kind of know that this is who I am, and it is also who they are.
Which takes us nicely into, so your How are you involved with music at the moment?
Yeah, so basically after having been in a band, as I said, in Lebanon, I ended up presenting at that time the only heavy metal show on national radio. Now, get this. As I said, metal was banned.
Thanks for asking all the questions. You don't need me at this point. You can see by the quizzical looks on my face. It's like, right, okay, yeah.
So metal was banned. However, this was in the immediate post-war period in Lebanon. So the country was a complete mess.
Yeah.
And I had already worked in radio since the age of 10 when I was doing children's shows. And then I obviously grew up, so I started doing news, etc. But I also had a music show. So I decided I want to make this a metal music show since I have this platform. Using, of course, all the bootleg tapes that were, kind of...
Yeah.
around in the country. And I presented this show, and funnily enough, the government had no clue, because even though they had banned metal, they didn't really know what metal was.
Yeah.
And so they had no idea that I was actually playing metal on national radio every week.
Brilliant.
It was completely crazy. And so because I had a finite quantity of tapes that I owned that I could play, I did one thing which is now known as crowdsourcing, but at that time it wasn't known as anything, which is to ask my listeners to come to the studio, bringing in any tapes that they had so that we could play them on the show. And that's what happened. So the show became a hangout for people who would come and just bring me all kinds of tapes. And by that time, Lebanese bands started recording demos for the first time.
Right, okay.
So I started playing music by Lebanese bands.
Great.
Any band.
So they knew they had an outlet.
Yeah.
One question: Did you ever have an incident where you were playing a band and you didn't know who they were, or that you played? I'm just thinking from that from all of that bootlegging.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think it's it happened in the tape trading back in the day.
Yeah.
The title of the album becomes the title of the band after how X amount of copies. Did you ever get anything like that going on?
Well, not me, but guess who did that? The government. So what happened at that time is that I was really curious to know what was actually banned and what wasn't. So I went to the entity that controls censorship in Lebanon, which is called the General Security Bureau. And I said to them, I own a music store. Of course, I was lying about that. But anyway, I wanted a reason to be there. And I said, I want to know what to sell, what's legal and what's not. And they said, we can't give you the list. And I said, what do I do then? And they said, we can show you the list, but you can't copy it. And I said, well, how am I supposed to remember, what's banned and what's not? And they said, memorize it. So I said, all right then. So I sat there for 2 hours, literally trying to memorize this A4 sheet that had, as you just said, names of bands put there as names of albums, or song names that are listed as band names. It was a complete mess because the government had no clue what to do. But us metalheads were a little more sophisticated than that. And I guess, again, you would call it, cross-research or something. It's because several people, would all kind of agree that, yes, this song is this particular song by this particular band. So that's how you knew what you were listening to. But those were crazy but interesting times. So I did that show, and this is how I got to meet the majority of bands in Lebanon, one of which is a band in which I didn't meet, but I played their music on the radio. And many years down the line, if you fast forward several years to 2015 in particular, I, by sheer chance, reconnected with that band. And I couldn't believe that they still existed 20 years later.
Yeah.
And this is how I ended up back in the metal business, basically working with them, because it was such a historic moment, for me to find out that from the tens of bands that had existed in Lebanon at that time, this one band was the last one standing. And it was very moving for me. And I decided to help them out.
What was the name of the band?
This band is called Blackium. And they still exist until now, 22 years. And I ended up managing them. Now, what happened at that time is when we met for the first time face to face, even though, as I said, I played their music on the radio almost 20 years before, And they said, would you manage us, because now you live in the West, and you're at festivals all the time, and you understand all this stuff, plus you work in politics, and you kind of have this high level position in which you run big programs and departments. And I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But I said, let's actually do this, and I did it, and then I ended up working with them for around a year and a half. I quit managing Blackium in April of this year. But it was through Blackium that I got to meet everybody in the metal scene in London, because I was just talking to people and saying, by the way, there is a metal scene in this tiny country called Lebanon, and I happen to be working with one of the bands there. And I must say, the metal scene in London has been incredibly welcoming.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone to just be embraced so openly was really quite moving for me.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think you've a kind of parallel to that is, I think we've all done it within the metal community, where you discover a band that nobody else has, and and you set out to tell your friends about this band, and then you see it mushroom, and everybody starts passing it around the world. And I think to a certain extent, especially the London scene, I think we collect people like that as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, we've, wow, have you met Lina? Have you heard her incredible story? And what she's doing for this, and have you heard about the band, and have you heard about, and I think because the way the metal community works now, I think especially with the internet, basically just providing you, well, there's just so much, there's too much content to ever go through. Yeah. So when you hear about a story like yours, you just think, well, how can I not know? Do you know what I mean? How can I not know about the Lebanese metal community? I feel like such an idiot, But it seems like, I mean, I knew it was illegal. I knew metal was illegal in Lebanon, and I wasn't sure if it still was or anything like that. But I can honestly say, and I think anyone listening to this, that's about as far as they could. That's about as much as they could tell you. About any of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
how did they even manage to keep going all those years?
Well,
still are.
Well, with difficulty. I mean, they and the rest of the bands in Lebanon, they're all in the same boat, really, which is, it's not just about the government every now and then arresting people. It's also the fact that there are no studios that specialize in metal music. So if you want to record something, it ends up sounding shit, which means that bands find it a lot more difficult to compete internationally with, say, European bands, just because of no resources, their sound will sound terrible.
Well, surely you've got to leave. Or if you're going to be a successful Lebanese metal band, you're going to leave. Yes, step one, leave Lebanon.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, this is what a lot of bands either aim to do or have done. So one of the bands that I now am working with, called Chaotion, they left Lebanon. The two key members of the band, who are basically the band, who bring in other musicians to work with them every now and then, they left the country. I mean, they were arrested for being metalheads and thrown in jail for 4 days, and asked all kinds of ridiculous questions. One of them was not the question, but the mode in which it was asked, as they tell me the story. Apparently the policeman who had arrested them started speaking in an Egyptian dialect whenever they addressed them, because they thought that the guys from Chaotion were Satan worshippers, and that if they spoke to them in the Lebanese dialect, they would find out where the policeman came from and put a spell on their souls.
Oh, God. Backwards does not cover it, does
yeah,
it?
So
Really?
I mean, you can't blame people for wanting to leave. So going back to a question you asked me earlier, which
absolutely.
is why did I flee something? Well, I fled,
Lack of opportunity.
Absolutely, and this ridiculous backward environment that puts a limit on your ambition and what you can achieve in life.
Yeah, and that's right across the board. I mean, that just sounds wow. So how long? I mean, you said that you've been so you've been a Brit Well, you've been a Brit
Yeah.
for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. How did that? I mean, how did you end up sort of landing in the UK? Was that just?
Well, I originally came to study.
Sorry, yeah, you did
yeah,
say you
but
studied.
I never thought I would settle in the UK. I just thought, well, I'll come to do a PhD and see what happens. And
Where was the PhD?
Leicester University.
Leicester.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And what in?
Political communication.
Aha, ideal.
Yeah.
And how was Leicester? Did you enjoy Leicester?
At that time, Leicester was rather awful.
Yeah.
I actually hated living there.
A rather sad place it would have been.
It was, yeah. But hey, I kind of had to do what I had to do, and I just couldn't wait to finish the PhD, move to London. So as soon as I finished, in fact, even before I finished, I just moved to London. And the rest is history. I love London. London is home now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now, it's kind of the welcome I've been met with by the metal community in London has just been, an additional lovely thing, about this place. I absolutely adore being in London. Having said that, I did leave the UK for a number of years because after moving to London, I worked as a university lecturer for a number of years. Then I got really bored with academia and I decided to work in politics. And I ended up moving to California, where I worked at Stanford University at a think tank on campus. So it was an academic institution, but I didn't have an academic job. It was a policy job. Yeah. And that was great, except that it was very remote. And I spent 4 years there. Then, funnily enough, I got a job in Lebanon working for an American think tank that had its Middle East center based in Lebanon, which is called the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which is the world's oldest and biggest think tank. So I was the director of the Middle East Center based in Beirut, and this is how I reconnected with Black Youth. So in some ways, it was my work in politics that led me to where I am now in metal.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, there are, life is interesting in how it takes you places through the strangest routes possible. So after spending 2 years living in Beirut again, after having basically fled in the 90s, I just couldn't wait to leave and come back to London. And then I did, and got this job at Chatham House, which is just brilliant. And everybody at Chatham House, where I work now, thinks it's absolutely hilarious that I manage metal bands and hang out, at metal festivals in my so-called spare time. Yeah. Yeah.
So how many bands are you managing at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I'm working with 2 bands. One is the one I mentioned, which is called Chaotion, which is originally Lebanese, but now, it's an expat band. And it's a death metal band. And they are absolutely great. They have a new album that will be released at some point soon. And the 2 people who have collaborated with them on the album are the drummer from Marduk and the bassist from Obscura. Right. And it's really powerful. And the second one is not a band, it is an international extreme metal supergroup project called Nader Sadek, after the name of the artist who puts it together. And the way it works is people from very well-known, mainly death metal and extreme metal bands get together and perform live shows, but the lineup changes with every set of shows. And Nader Sadek is the person who decides who plays with whom. So he has managed to bring in this project basically a who's who of extreme metal musicians. I mean, you name it. Musicians from Mayhem, from Marduk, from Sono, from Obscura, from Death, I could go on, Sepultura. The lineup changes all the time. And the cool thing is that Nader Sadek himself is Egyptian and based in Cairo. So I quite like that this international project that's bringing in all these musicians from very famous bands around the world is run by a guy in the Middle East. I think this is just great.
Yeah, it's got your fingerprints all over it.
Well, I can only imagine. I only just recently started working with Nader on the project, and I am so looking forward to what we can do together. I think, the ingredients are all very, very exciting.
So you, when you say manage, are you working on the live side? Are you working on the recording side? Do they have deals, distribution?
Basically manage is everything but the music. And so the musicians just deal with the creative side of things, and I deal with the business side of things. So everything from PR campaigns to festival applications to networking on behalf of the bands in the industry. I mean, a key thing for me is to keep in touch with the scene in the Middle East, even if the musicians themselves have decamped outside the Middle East, like what happened with the guys from Kyotion. Still, their music is very much, I mean, in Kyotion's case, the music is very political and very much engaged with all the crap happening in the region at the moment. And Nader Sadek himself is in a constant battle in Egypt, battling censorship and ignorance as a metal musician. So for me, I just feel I can't, in a way, because of who I am, work with a project that's just fun, even though there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel, who I am.
Yeah, sure.
These bands speak to me and they mean something to me, and I choose to work with them because I want to support these voices. Yeah. And I think if I can be a bridge between the scene in Europe and the US and internationally, and these musicians who come from the Middle East, then I'd be doing both scenes, hopefully a bit of good.
Yeah, sure. Has the internet helped these bands being able to get their music out? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think without the internet, a lot of these bands would simply not exist.
Yeah, because presumably if the if the Lebanese government can't tell the difference between a band that you shouldn't be playing and a song title and all the rest of it, then presumably they're completely clueless when it comes to the internet as well.
Yeah, sadly they're not completely clueless. Because at the moment they have set up a bureau for cybercrime that they basically use to crack down on freedom of expression online, and they have arrested some musicians based on Facebook posts.
Brilliant. So not credit card fraud, not grooming.
Nope.
Let's concentrate on musicians.
Yeah, who may or may not have insulted the government in a Facebook post or a tweet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the situation, is not great in Lebanon.
Right. Okay. But having said that, they are pretty simple rules to avoid getting caught if you're a band, isn't it? It's just like, well, don't insult, insult.
Yeah, but you don't know what they might consider to be insulting.
Right. Okay.
So you never know. There are no written rules when it comes to what is considered insulting.
Oh well, you were arrested for laughing and sarcasm.
Absolutely, for dressing up as Slash and pretending to be a fake parliamentary candidate.
Right. Okay. But when you see that now, when you say it like that, that sounds arrestable. Okay. Now that sounds like you should have been arrested. Laughing and sarcasm, not so much. But yeah, that's going to actually impersonating a political candidate. Well,
yeah, while dressed up as Slash.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the internet, I mean that's again, the internet and its effect on music is multiple, but that's a really positive effect.
I mean, at the very least, you can release your music online and hope that people across the world will be able to hear it, which, say, in the 90s when I performed in my band, we never even dreamed of anything like that. We never dreamed that someone outside our city, not just our country, would even hear about us.
Yeah.
And so recently it was quite funny because I was interviewed by Metal Hammer magazine. A very short quote, about me and what I was doing at that time. And they mentioned, in the 90s, Lina played in this band called Paranoid. And me and the guys just couldn't stop laughing. And I said to them, see, 20 years later, we've made it. We're a Metal Hammer. Yeah. Finally,
That's brilliant.
Yeah, but it was interesting because the Metal Hammer story was mainly motivated by how I acquired some of the tapes for my show when I did the radio show back in the 90s. Because in addition to the crowdsourcing that I talked to you about when people would come to the studio, what I also did at that time was sneak into Syria to buy metal tapes there, because at that time metal wasn't banned in Syria. They banned it later, but at that time it wasn't banned. So what I used to do was go to Syria, buy as many tapes as I could, and basically smuggle them back into Lebanon. And I would bribe the checkpoints so that they wouldn't search the taxi, because you could just drive from Damascus to Beirut. So I would take a taxi and hide the tapes kind of underneath me somehow as I'm sitting in the taxi, and bribe, guess with what? Not with money. Bribe with bread. The checkpoints,
Wow.
the Syrian checkpoints. Because Syria at that time was that poor.
Wow.
That Lebanese bread. So we would buy bread from Lebanon, take it into Syria, use it as bribe to enter Syria and a bribe to come back. It was that destitute. And people wonder why, a revolution happened in Syria in 2011. Well, because, the country was socially and economically very, very terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so smuggling tapes was how I also got the show to kind of get new material.
That's mad.
It was mad.
Absolutely mad.
Yeah.
So you must be responsible for. I mean, I know I get a kick out of seeing online somebody saying like, "Oh, my first ever metal gig was Acid Rain," or the first metal album I ever bought was Moshkinstein or something like that. And to this day, it gives me a real kick when you see that. The amount of people that you must have introduced to metal via your radio show and everything else. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
And especially getting all of that music across the border that nobody else could hear. I mean, literally, there was no one else was willing to risk. No one else was prepared to risk their bread.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a risk because, what if they decided that they didn't like the bread?
Yeah, absolutely.
But at that time, we didn't care. I mean, the bands performed...
Was it you were bribing them to get out? Was there no...
In and out.
Yeah, but what about getting in to Lebanon? Didn't you have to go...
You'd bribe the Syrian checkpoints with bread.
Yeah.
Bribe the Lebanese ones with money.
Right, now you see... Yeah, with money. Alright, okay.
But yeah.
Right, okay.
So yes, I was an international metal smuggler.
Get it. So, yeah. Using the dough. And
literally
using the
and
dough.
metaphorically.
Yeah. Thank you got that way before me. That's amazing. That's absolutely brilliant. So, you started when you said the way the London metal scene's welcomed you and everything. How has that come about? Was that within the last sort of couple of years, longer than that? Did it start with when you became a band manager, as it were?
Yeah, well, I started working with Black Hum when I was still living in Lebanon, and then I left Lebanon to come back to London, and
Right.
I came back to London in the autumn of 2015.
Oh,
And
right, okay.
So as soon as I came...
As it's now known,
Yeah.
the Acid Rain time of 2015.
see, it was meant
Okay,
to be.
yeah, absolutely.
It was meant to be.
Yeah,
It was the golden time.
That
for-
golden
for
era.
comebacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yours and mine, totally.
So our stars aligned.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
without a doubt.
and the rest is history.
Yeah,
so
the
yeah,
planets aligned.
that's when I came back, and as I said, it was a case of talking to everybody who cared to listen or even didn't care to listen,
Yeah.
and saying, there's this band, there's a scene, Lebanon, blah blah blah, and luckily most people were interested, and people started introducing me to more and more people, which is lovely. I like this paying it forward kind of atmosphere, which sadly doesn't exist in Lebanon or in many places in the Middle East. Sadly, it seems to me that the smaller the metal scene, the bigger the jealousy and the rivalry.
Yeah, but that's true of anywhere. That's true of the UK. You go to a small town and you see a lot of small town attitudes and a lot of people. A lot. Basically, you do a gig and you just see all the local musicians stood at the back, with their arms folded, watch, and just not getting it. I mean, you get that. You do get that. I always think it's the smaller the scene, the more parochial it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a shame because in the Middle East, this is also what's preventing the scene there from growing. People don't recognize that it's in their interest to collaborate and cooperate and work together.
We're the biggest band in our town. You're the biggest band in your town. Why don't you come and play our town and we'll support you, despite the fact, or you support us because we're huge here.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to your town and we'll support you because you're huge there. And it's how we're all going to work together.
Yeah. So as I said, I personally try not to be involved in this kind of petty politics. I am always happy to support bands, even if I don't manage them. So, for example, right now there's a band in Lebanon that I went to a festival with recently in Latvia. They're called Chimera. They're one of the most professional bands in Lebanon. They're a really, really good band. And
how's Chimera spelled? Because they're going to have some problems there.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's Chimera. Maera.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And they're wonderful guys, and they're just doing very well. They've come back after a period of inaction, and they deserve a lot of support. And so I'm happy to support them because I can see they're serious, they're professional, their music is good. I saw them perform live in Latvia. They did a great job. And so there's a lot of talent in Lebanon and elsewhere in the Middle East that people just don't know enough about outside. And so I always think that if you pay it forward, if you support those who are talented and hardworking and who don't have a sense of self-entitlement, because this is also sadly a problem with some of the bands, this is how the scene can grow, as a community. But again, maybe it's a bit idealistic, but at least this is what I try to do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, I mean, and it's idealistic. You've got to start out with ideals. You've got to aim lofty, aim high and hope that that's what you're going to achieve.
Yeah.
And so from an online perspective, is there a kind of like is there a Lebanese metal website, that people can go and visit? I mean, do these bands have websites or social media presence?
Yeah, I mean, all the bands I mentioned are on Facebook.
Right. So
you can find them there. The bands I mentioned are Chimera, as I said, Chaotion, which is written Kaoteon, and Nader Sadek, which is Nadersadek. They're all on Facebook. They have YouTube channels, so people can check them out there. In terms of metal blogs, etc., there's a great one, but it's in Arabic, called Metal is My Addiction, and in English there is a very nice one called labmetal.com.
Right.
And some others. So, people try, but they're not as active as the ones you'd get, in the West.
Yeah.
But definitely the bands are very aware that because they come from this region in which access is a big problem, the best thing they can do is be active online.
Yeah.
And they're trying to use that as a first step in order to get festival bookings in Europe and elsewhere.
Right. Okay. So basically, that is kind of step one.
Yeah.
Is getting a kind of online footprint, and then getting out of Lebanon.
Yeah.
Into as many festivals as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not everybody wants to live outside Lebanon, but they certainly want to perform outside Lebanon. They want to be with their peers. They want to be with all these bands that they look up to or that they like, and have the same experience that all of us take for granted here in London, for example.
And presumably you can't. I mean, you just you can't be a metalhead full stop. So that's pretty scary. So the bands that you refer to, are they full time? Have they all got working jobs?
All of them have jobs.
Right. Yeah. As a cover.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, even in Europe, it's very difficult for someone to just be a full-time musician.
Oh yeah. Doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lebanon and the rest of the Middle East are no different. So most musicians from the country have day jobs.
These are so good.
You are now having a pistachio cookie from Brussels.
These are so good, honestly.
Yeah, because people will wonder what you're referring to when you're saying these are so good.
Don't worry, I was going to get there.
Is he munching on CDs? I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Sorry guys, but they are.
Well, next time we will invite your listeners to my living room. Just give me a bit of notice so I can get enough cookies.
Exactly. There's even a black pearl drum kit.
Oh
in the corner of the living room.
Yeah, it's another thing that I do to keep me sane, which is I'm a very terrible drummer, but I play in my so-called spare time.
So it keeps you sane and keeps your neighbours awake.
That's why it's a bit of a challenge because
I can see like practice pads on everything.
Yeah, they're silencer pads meant to muffle the sound a bit so that my neighbors don't kill me. But I don't get to play as much as I would like to because I work very long hours, and by the time I get home, sometimes it's very late and too late to play drums, which is a bit annoying.
Absolutely. Well, we've all got to make our sacrifices.
Yeah.
So what's your next metal event?
I am going to Metal Days in a few days, which should be fun. Just hanging out really and meeting people and catching up with some friends who will be there from the scene. And after that, another festival, going to Brutal Assault. Also, same deal, etc., etc. So I tend to go.
So you're not coming to Amplified then?
Sadly,
the first ever.
I know.
Amplified
Sadly, I
festival.
booked Metal Days before. Yeah, absolutely. And I explained this to Gary, who's the amazing person who's behind Amplified, and I really wish him all the best of luck because it looks really amazing.
It does, and it looks. It's. I saw in a tweet today. It looks like VIP is about to sell out, which is
great.
Which is great.
Yeah. I think again, anything we all can do as a community to support one another in this scene, we should do.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that I can't go to Amplified, but I've kind of posted about it on Facebook. We'll spreading the word.
We'll send them your love.
Especially that you're performing, Acid Rain.
Well, that's the way it goes. You've already booked Metal Days. I'll forgive you.
Yes. What can I say? Maybe next year I'll go to Amplified.
Yeah, well, we definitely won't be there, so enjoy that.
Oh well, I've already seen you enough times.
I know. Yeah, I know. And what about are you going to do any of the major? You're going to do any of the Bloodstocks or?
Yeah, I always do. I mean, it's a ritual.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's if you're in the UK, there are certain things that are non-negotiable.
So do you camp?
No, I don't camp. I don't camp at all. I'm a wimp like that. I like my clean hot showers.
No, that's why man invented houses.
Yes.
So we don't have to live outside like peasants anymore. Okay? There's only one reason to camp, and that is you're locked out of your house, you've crashed your car in the middle of nowhere, and you're having to put a tent up. That's pretty much the only reason.
Yeah, except that most people I know are camping.
I know, but I can't believe people who camp out of choice. Live
it
like a
fun.
primate out of choice. It's just bizarre.
It can be fun. I would only do it if I literally had no other choice.
No, I disagree. It can be fun for one night only, and then that second day where you feel like you've been dug up because the night's sleep you had was horrendous.
Yeah, the only time I ever camped in my life was around 20 years ago in Lebanon with a bunch of metalheads, and we had a sign outside our tent that said the hard and heavy tent, and it was...
Did people get the wrong idea?
But it was funny, and the thing is, it was the middle of summer, and Lebanon normally is very hot in the summer, but we were in the mountains and it was freezing in the evening. So there is this photo of me with the guys literally wearing all our clothes as layers and looking huge, because it was so cold. And that experience was so bad that I'm like, I am not camping again. So that's why I don't camp.
But I'd like to point out that you've lived through 20 years of civil war, lived through bombs landing, bullets flying around your head, and you're still not going to camp.
Well, you see, maybe that's in my subconscious. Maybe because I've camped out enough in shelters. Because I spent, significant periods of time underground, in underground shelters during the Civil War. Sleeping on the floor. Literally, exactly. And this is kind of an interesting thing. One of the shelters that we used to go to was being rented out by its owner as a warehouse and transformed into a shoe factory. So you can imagine, you're being bombed and you have to go down to this shelter that is full of rows and rows of shoes in various stages of readiness. Yeah. And no wonder now I have, an obsession with shoes. I think it's a childhood thing, I was a tiny kid surrounded by rows and rows of shoes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Just take as many pairs as you can.
You just had to hide in between all those shoes.
Wow. That's mad.
So I think I've done enough camping between quotation marks.
Yeah. No, I think you're taking the camping thing. Yeah, definitely. Well, look, it's been absolutely wonderful. Fantastic hospitality with your delicious pistachio cookies. Look, I'm sure people will be listening, thinking, "Wow, that's so different to my life, so different to the way I discovered metal and all the rest of it." And yeah, and look, on behalf of the metal scene in the UK, you deserve a lot of thanks for all of the work that you've done. Bringing bands through and helping them and just getting the word out there. So thank you very much.
Well,
and,
thank you. It's been a lot of fun hanging out in my living room and feeding you cookies.
We'll do it again sometime. Thank you very much, Lina. And there you have it. That was my lovely afternoon with Lina, and it was really cool, fascinating stories, absolutely fascinating. You can find her on Facebook, and she's just announced her. Earlier this week, she's at Metal Days at the moment actually, but she just announced earlier this week those hookups with those bands. So do find her and give her some support. So we are coming towards the end of the podcast, and I have to make a comment on the first few tour dates that have been announced for Ronnie Dio's Hologram. That's right, this shit is really happening. I cannot believe. Well, never say never. I shouldn't be surprised by anything, really. I just think it's just in such bad taste. It really is. It makes absolutely no. Well, I suppose it knows it. Oh, it all comes to money, doesn't it? It all comes down to money. Yeah, let's just fuck it. It doesn't matter. No, there's nothing sacred. If it makes a few quid, then we'll do it. And I don't know. I'm not even angry about it. I'm just, it's that old thing, isn't it? I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed, and I am. It's just, I don't know. I'm sat here trying. I'm sat here trying to, I don't know, trying to make sense of it, trying to be angry about it. I can't be. It's depressing, is what it is. It really, really is. Who thinks? Who thinks that's a good idea? It just beggars belief, and people are going to buy tickets and they're going to go and watch it, and I just think, well, I don't know, it's not up to me, is it? It's not up to me to, yes, it should be banned, it shouldn't be allowed. I guess, it's like everything else. I just think it's a horrible, horrible idea. And it's kind of like the I don't know, it's kind of like I just hope this isn't going to be the first in a long list. I just hope that we're not going to see this and go like, right, okay, now we're going to have Elvis. Well, I couldn't give a shit about that, but about Elvis. But yeah, we'll have fucking Soundgarden touring with Chris Cornell, Linkin Park touring with Chester Bennington. Too soon? Too soon, is it? I mean, people would say that's fucking outrageous. Really? Well, let's wait a few years. That could be happening. That seriously could be happening. So I don't know. It's a new era of just shit, of absolute bollocks. It really is. I don't know. And then and we've got Nine Inch Nails are coming out with some new material. Yes, that's right. I did just completely switch topic. Nine Inch Nails are coming out with some new material. They are ploughing this EP furrow. They are just they're continuing to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. This is kind of like a sort of low energy end to the podcast, really, isn't it? I'm not really going to come. I'm never going to be able to top that Facebook rant at the beginning. I really don't know where that came from. That came from down in my boots, and I don't know. That must have been on my mind. It must have been, and I just ended up getting there, and that was that. So anyway. What can I say, guys? It's an absolute pleasure, as always. It really is an absolute pleasure. I do look forward to doing this. Oh, I've got to let you know as well, next episode, there may be a special coming out, there may not, but I did the longest podcast interview yet, which was 1 hour 50 minutes with a and at that point my fucking program froze, so sorry about that. And do you know what? I thought a legendary. I keep teasing you all. It's James Murphy. Okay, spent a good 1 hour 50 minutes chatting with James Murphy, a fascinating guy. Played in Death, played in Obituary, played on 2 all-time legendary death metal albums in the space of a year in different bands, and then ended up in Testament as well, and was awesome. And his story is unbelievable. It's absolutely fascinating. You've got you will get all of the metal stuff, all of the stuff that you want to hear. You will get that. But the first sort of 45 minutes is a cross between politics and the story of his brain tumor, which, you know, everybody thought he was a drug addict, basically. That's even why he ended up getting booted out of Testament as well. So anyway, that's fascinating. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be next month's podcast or whether it's going to be a special in between. It depends on whether a few other things come in or not. I've tried 4 times to interview somebody, and it's just not worked out. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get them on the cast. And then there's people like Phil, where that was set up literally about it was set up on the Tuesday. I interviewed him on the Wednesday. Here I am doing the podcast on the Thursday, and sometimes that's very rare. That's not the usual. But this has just gone. It's just worked out really easy, and James was really easy to get hold of. Invariably, it's when bands are pushing something that they're harder to get hold of, which is kind of odd, really, if you think about it. But it does all work out. It will all work out in the end. I'm sure it will. So anyway, guys, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. There's all sorts of stuff. Oh, we by the way, we played a festival last Friday. That was rather interesting. We ended up playing in the bar because the stages got closed because of just biblical rain, and we had a lady. I'd been talking to her, and we planned this, and she asked her long-term boyfriend to marry her during our set, and he said yes. How cool is that? So it's that's another career high that I can tick off. Having a couple, having somebody doing a marriage proposal during the show, that is awesome. And on the subject of festivals, they're either your thing or they're not. But I remember talking to this person who was going on about, oh God, I can't believe it, closed because of the weather. It's like, yeah, hello, rain and electricity, water and what's the fuck? Oh, but surely they could have put the stages up at a certain angle, meaning that it's like, no, this happens all the time. And of course, fucking Metal Days, a much bigger festival than Amplified. We were playing the first ever Amplified festival. Metal Days has had to shut stages in Slovenia because of rain. And there's, people get it in their fucking heads that it's like, oh, surely there must be... No, shut the fuck up. We can't control the weather. That's it. That's as simple as that. There's no such thing as a waterproof outdoor stage. It happens all the time. Festivals around the world, all the time, are closed due to bad weather. And that can be bad weather for the bands, a danger there, but it can also be to protect the crowd as well. If you've got lightning, especially, you need to get people out of there. Simple as that. Jesus, if they stop golf matches because of storms, then I think we can stop fucking festivals, alright? That's just a few sad middle-aged bastards walking around in hilarious trousers. That's all that is, okay? We're talking like thousands and thousands of people out in fields need to be protected from being struck by lightning. I personally think it's a good idea. Now, I'm not a world's biggest fan of health and safety, but I am the world's biggest fan of not dying. Big fan of that. And so we ended up playing the bar. I'm all over the map here. I'm well aware of that. So hang in there. So we had to put a barrier in the bar. Fuck it. We got up and running. We were playing again, and it was an awesome show. Really enjoyed it. It was just great fun. It really was. Everybody pulled together. And made it happen and make it work. And that's what you got to do in those situations. Make it happen and make it work for everybody. Now, some bands were moaning. Some bands fucked off home. Now, you can get caught up in the moment. You can get caught up in all of the, oh, fucking hell, blah, 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 blah. But what you have to remember is People have paid money to see you. It's not about you as an artist. It's not about you as a band member or a comedian or whatever. It's not about you. It's about the audience. And if there's any fucking way possible at all that you can get a show on, you get the show on. I know it's the show must go on. It might be cheesy, it might be corny, but it's true. Okay, there's exceptions to every rule. I will not do comedy to less than 20 people because comedy doesn't work to that many people. Yeah, if you think about it, you can watch the funniest film in the world, but if you're watching it on your own, you don't laugh. You don't. Or it just doesn't happen. Comedy is a gang sport, all right, and you need laughter. And the smaller amount of people there are there, the less likely people are to laugh because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. Because if they laugh and nobody else laughs, they'll draw it. That's just simply how it works. Comedy is different. Music, I don't care how many people are there. I'm going out and I'm playing and I'm giving my absolute all because. However few or however many, whether you've got 5, 50, 500, 5,000. They've paid, and it just makes no sense to deliver anything other than a full-on fucking show, a full-on experience, and that's as simple as it is. That's as simple as that. So anyway, look, there you go. That's my that's me being unusually positive, isn't it? That's normally I'm Mr. Slag everything off. Or at least that's how it seems to be. Right, look, guys, I'm going to go because I've got fucking shit to do, like find a job. So yeah, anybody got any work? Hit me up on Twitter or on Facebook, and hopefully I'll be here I will be here next month. Anyway, look, wherever you are, I really do appreciate you listening. I certainly appreciate you listening this far. But every single one of you, it's a pleasure to be in your ears. It always is. It always will be. I hope we can keep this going for centuries. I really do. What centuries? Don't be stupid, Howard, you fucking cock. You're going to die. Just face it. Face reality. But look, I want to keep this going as long as possible. I suppose I could hand the Talking Bollocks brand over to somebody else to continue. And now I'm sounding like fucking Gene Simmons, who says that the band could keep going and with different people playing them. Honestly, it's worrying the amount of times recently that I've ended up saying something and thinking, shit, I hear those words come out of my mouth and think, no, you sound like Gene Simmons. You're a cunt. Oh, dear. There you go. You had to wait all that time for a cunt bomb. See what I did there? Not C-bomb. No, not C-bomb. Cunt bomb. Anyway, I was trying to say goodbye. I was trying to thank you all, and I really do mean it. Thank you very much. Please spread the word as much as you can. Spread the word as much as you can about the podcast. For those of you missing Dan, I will probably get him on the next one just to see how things are panning out, and also to give his his event a bit of a plug, because I'm not going to be able to do that now because I've now got booked up doing comedy. But anyway, it's been a pleasure, always a pleasure, never a chore. Please spread the word. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, great. If you didn't, nothing I can do about that. Sorry. See you next month. I won't see you next month. I'll speak to you next month. And let me know your thoughts and feelings as you always do, guys. Thanks a lot. Speak soon. Bye-bye.